major comorbidities that affected people negatively.
Yeah. Bill Maher was onto that really early. Yeah, that's a good point.
It's weird times. But again, I have hope.
Yeah, me
really
too,
do.
man. In spite of everything, I have hope.
Well,
Because I believe in people generally. You know, like.
Too. Yeah,
like there's people who in California and New York, they look at Texas as like, this lost state. You know what I mean? Greatest people in the world.
Yeah.
Greatest, kindest, nicest people.
Yeah.
But you may not want to talk about certain subjects. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Just avoid those subjects. You get along.
And even the subjects that you're supposed to avoid, why? Why are we avoiding them?
Well, I agree. I'd like to talk about any subject.
Yeah.
I like a little healthy, debate.
Also, I want to know why you think the way you think. If you think totally different than me, I want to sit down with you. And I want to give you all the room in the world to say what you think. I want to know how you came to those conclusions. I want to know what your childhood was like. I want to know like what experiences have you had that led you to have these like concrete evaluations of the way society is that are so different than mine.
That's a great compassionate vantage point. That's what we really lacked.
Yeah, we
recently,
need that. You need to sit down with people that you don't agree with and find out. And oftentimes they fall apart. That's just the fascinating thing. You give them enough room. You just keep talking to them. They fall apart. One of the weirdest conversations I had on this podcast was talking to Dr. Sanjay Gupta from CNN. They sent him over here to fucking straighten me out. And, by the end of it, it was a very bizarre conversation. By the end of it, he was essentially agreeing with me.
I had heard that he didn't think you should necessarily vaccinate. I thought he was a little more progressive on that.
He's smart, but he's also working for CNN, and he's also a neurosurgeon. So he's he's a bright guy. He's just like captured by the system, and that's part of the problem. But there was a lot of things that didn't make any sense. Like one of the ones where he wanted me to get vaccinated after I'd recovered from COVID.
Yeah,
I'm like, dude, I had COVID.
Shouldn't that be the reason I'm already vaccinated, basically?
Yeah. Well, I'd recovered from COVID in 3 days. It wasn't hard at all. And that's when I got hit. That's when everybody came after me. It was because I was a bad example, because I was healthy. And I was giving people bad information by telling them all the things that I took to get better, which is really weird. And then they focused on this one thing, which was ivermectin. I read a laundry list of stuff that I took: IV vitamins, NAD, ivermectin, monoclonal antibodies. I talked about all the different stuff that my doctor put me on, and I was better in 3 days. And then what did CNN do? They turned my face yellow. They put a filter on the video to make me look sick, and they started talking about me taking horse paste, which is crazy. They said I was taking a veterinary medicine.
Yeah, the ivermectin?
Yeah.
They suddenly calling it that in spite of it treating, millions of humans effectively.
Billions of prescriptions have been filled. Billions. Yeah. Billions of times human beings have taken ivermectin.
They have the guy who invented it in the statue at the WHO. I mean, that's why, because he invented ivermectin.
Yeah.
And
he won the Nobel Prize.
That was an interesting thing, how they made these other drugs, negative. What was a
hydroxychloroquine.
Hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin, which some legitimate doctors found to be effective. Suddenly you can't even bring it up, and then you couldn't even get it.
Yeah.
Like suddenly they made it ungettable.
Yeah. Well, you couldn't get it from Walgreens. They wouldn't prescribe it for you. Unless you had like some sort of a
malaria or something.
Yeah, you'd have to have, or some sort of a parasite. I mean, that's why they said it was a dewormer, because it was anti-parasitic. But when I said it to Sanjay Gupta, I go, but it's also been shown to stop viral replication in vitro. And I said, you know that, right? And you could see this look on his face like, oh shit. Because that's a fact. Like, they've studied viral replication. You use ivermectin in Petri dishes, it stops viral replication. It's a fact. Like that, there's studies on this. Like, it's also like one of the most safe drugs known to man. It's like the safety profile is incredible. And this idea that like Rolling Stones printing articles that people are having overdoses from ivermectin and people can't get into the emergency room because of gunshot wounds. They even showed a photograph of a bunch of people outside of an emergency room wearing winter coats in August because it was a photograph of people waiting in line to get a flu shot. It was a bullshit photograph that fucking Rolling Stone published. Like, this is so wild to watch because it's not just propaganda. It's really shitty propaganda.
Right.
Because there's not much truthful they can say that would go against this stuff. So they have to just say it's horse dewormer. You're a fool. You're taking horse dewormer. But what they didn't